Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So we're coming to the last fourth day of our international conference on pattern recognition and information processing 2021. So last but not least, because today we have a quite exciting panel, I hope, and then a couple of scientific sessions, and then closing, of course. So now I need to stop now and move to the panel discussion. Go on.
Artificial intelligence. We objectively assess the importance of this topic. However, there is still no consensus on whether all tasks can be solved using these technologies. Abuse or obligatory use, we will raise such issues of ethics, modern information society, and cybernetics. This is the story of our virtual conference on pattern recognition and information processing in 2021, which has already begun. Here, right now.
So now I would I would like to introduce our panelists. I will start from our studio here, and then we'll turn to those who are now in the virtual platform. So the first panelist, Professor Dr. Alexander Tuzikov, the chairman of our conference. He's a general director of our institute, United Institute of Informatics Problems. He's a representative in the International Association of Pattern Recognition and corresponding member of the National Academy of Sciences of Belarus. His research includes bioinformatics, computational biology, image processing and analysis, medical imaging, mathematical morphology, remote sensing, and discrete applied mathematics. The next panelist is Vassili Kovalev. Dr. Vassili Kovalev, head of biomedical image analysis department of the same institution. Well, he is working in the field of biomedical image analysis for more than 30 years, and currently is focusing on the computer-assisted diagnosis of lung diseases and cancer diagnosis based on the whole slide imaging using deep learning. So on the first day of our conference, we had an exciting talk, hybrid talk together with Andrei Gabrielian about actually quite exactly about these results. What is actually so good for this panel currently? He's also doing work which is devoted to adversarial attacks, how to actually to avoid such kind of attacks using deep learning methods. So now I would like to turn to our virtual platform. I would like to present Dr. Hrachya Astsatryan, director, head of Center of Scientific Computing, and actually head of director of this Institute of Informatics and Automation Problems of the National Academy of Sciences of Republic of Armenia. Well, his research experience is related to topics of e-infrastructures and scientific computations. Yesterday, during our giant session, was a plenary talk, keynote about data cube, dealing with Earth observation data. It was nice. So unfortunately, so now I'm going to put in alphabetic order, but the next speaker now is actually absent, Juraj Bilić, so I need to just to skip him and just jump to Professor Dr. Thomas Martin Deserno. He is the CEO of Campus Braunschweig Institute of Medical Informatics, Institute of Technology and Hanover Medical School in Germany. He is a senior member of IIAP and fellow of the Society of Photo-Optical Instrumentation Engineers. And research interested includes medical image processing applied to quantitative measurement for computer-assisted diagnosis. Medical researchers control clinical trials as well as seamless workflow integration of image and signal analysis into the user's workflow, in particular for application in accident and emergency informatics. Well, he's a quite new personality in our conference, so I'm kindly welcoming you, Thomas. Well, and the last one, but of course not least, Professor Frederic Leymarie, plenary keynote of our third day of the conference. And in his LinkedIn account, it was he's a indicated that the co-director, advisor, author, working in the computing department of Goldsmith, University of London. well, he developing and contributing to the novel areas of research in teaching and computing and beyond. So all speakers are now in charge. And dear colleagues, what I would like to ask you now, and to probably to start argue then after answering my questions. The first question, please. I'm addressing each of you. Give some opinion shortly about the future of AI in the field of your interest, at least, or if you do not think that in your field AI will be developing. Please try to think about what kind of areas will be the most developing in the sense of artificial intelligence. I will ask to start from our studio. Professor Alexander Tuzikov, could you start now?
Thank you very much, Alexei. It's a great pleasure to participate in this discussion. I would like to say that everybody of us see this great progress in the field of deep neural networks, machine learning, and we see great results and superiority of these methods with classical methods in many areas, especially in image processing, signal processing, text analysis, and also some areas where the input for this deep learning methods is not so trivial, and it's necessary to develop some good inputs for this technology. But I would like to say that now it's already is a technology. Multi-mega parameters networks show they work very good. But this technology, from my point of view, has nothing to do with how brain is working and how human people are thinking, and has nothing to do with consciousness. So the technology is like a great machinery now, performing very good. But what will be in the future? I hope that the people will more deeply will try to understand how our brain is working to develop some technologies, maybe methods working probably similar, or trying to understand how our brain is working. Thank you very much.
Hello, hello everyone. So since I'm working in the field of medical image analysis, so I hope that progress will be going on, and a lot of obstacles on that way will be somehow overcome, and we will, that's the very important point, we will finally harmonize the relationship between medical professionals and deep learning and neural network support. So there are nowadays, it's all cloudy. It's not really harmonized, and some radiologists, they are fighting against the new technologies which are based on artificial intelligence. They even afraid to lose their jobs, and that's very important. The second point, I think, technical point rather, I think that the society, our society, will finally develop solutions which are specifically targeted to medical assistance in diagnosis and treatment. That's very important. I don't know about robotics. Robotics still developing in the medical domain, but it's something, in my view, and that's second level. But on the first level, it's just image analysis and other data analysis. Now, in my point of view, there is the main problem actually, it's collecting medical data, because the law becoming gradually, step by step, becoming more and more strict. Sometimes it looks unbelievable to me that sometimes on different forums, I'm asking medical professionals how it's possible. Everything will be prohibited. How you will teach your medical students? I don't understand that. So I think that point will be also harmonized. It's related to security issues, etc., and the law and ethical issues, also issues. So this is very important. So I think, I hope all that problems will be finally resolved and harmonized. That's, for me, that's very important. Thank you.
Please, now, please, I would like to answer the same question to Hrachya Astsatryan.
So actually, I will be very brief. So usually we create these so-called disruptive technologies when we have some revolution in the industry. And in my point of view, so now we have this Industry 4 revolution. So that's why, as a technology, as a key technology, in my point of view, this is the data-driven technologies. And we should speak about this data-driven technology in a wider context, in my point of view. And here, so the key issue that we have to learn. So still now we learn, for instance, in case of the COVID-19, how to change the behavior, how to defend from this disease. So that's why we should regulate, in my point of view. In many countries, like in UK, there is an office of AI to regulate, because we get some benefits, but also we get some risks to implement these new technologies. And also, in my point of view, we need to change the education system, because in many cases, for some of the young generation, AI is just a model or just a black box. In some cases, AI is a theory. So we need to mix somehow in order to use in a more beneficial way these new kind of technologies. So that's all from my point of view.
Thank you. So, yeah, Thomas?
Yeah, hello, everybody. Thanks for inviting me to this discussion. The question was, to repeat it, the future of artificial intelligence. From my point of view, we have more and more sensors established everywhere. My particular field is medicine, but we have sensors that produce data in a huge amount that is not, we cannot analyze by humans. Yeah? So just one example, if you record ECG over 24 hours and 7 days. Yeah, in the previous way, the physicians were looking to the print. Now the print will be 27 kilometers. Yeah, and this is clearly not data that can be manually checked. So we need that algorithms, yeah, artificial intelligence. And that was what has been done in the last years. We use the technology in order to analyze those data. We need to analyze hybrid data, not only from one data source, but from different sources, with respect to the nature of data, the type of data, and so on. But my observation is that so far in all the talks and all this image processing, we have the data which is recorded, and we try to understand by the artificial intelligence what the data is telling us about the past. And in my point of view, the future of AI would be rather than using that data in order to predict the future, which is much more interesting, of course, than just analyzing what has happened already. So predicting the future is a nice example. And I was talking 2 days ago on a conference to guys from this autonomous driving and so on. And you all know the drive assistance that we have. regarding radar, and I have my speed set up in the system, and the car slows down if I approach a car in front of me on the highway, which is very convenient also in queues and so on. But when I use that system, there is a car, I'm on the middle lane, left lane is free. So I'm turning, okay, and in the moment I want to change the lane, the car reduces the speed because I was too close on the previous car. And what they are working on is, understanding the gestures of the driver to compute the intent that maybe in near future the driver will change the lane. Things like that. So predicting the future, I think that is the future of artificial intelligence.
Thank you, Thomas. Now, Frederic.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the invitation. Very much enjoyed the conference. The future of AI. So I found the remarks by Thomas really excellent. So I won't add to it, but I'm in agreement. I think there's also in the future a sort of return to the past, to the origins of AI. So I see more and more influence from interdisciplinarity and a sort of interest from other scientific fields into AI, as technology from AI is being used in, for example, psychology, sociology, and considered by these disciplines for their impact in their own field and in society in general. Another aspect I think I hope will be in the near future of AI is the influence of our economy or economics model. There's a lot of discussion about sort of worries about applying technologies coming out of AI in society. And I think a lot of these worries and the type of applications that are favored come, in fact, not from AI itself or computer science in general, but come from the economic model we have in place. So the pull is coming from that side. And I think we need to look more carefully at how economy is influencing the use of outcomes from our research. And yes, just to final comment, just to reemphasize what Thomas just said, I think the one key aspect of human intelligence is precisely to make guesses or predictions which could be wrong about the near future or the long future. And that's a fascinating aspect of our intelligence, and it should definitely be a key aspect of AI research agenda. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Frederic. Well, if you have any comments to each other, we may add now. So, well, actually, so I was wondering when Thomas said about the prediction the future, I was thinking about something big, something philosophy, but then he turned to applied field like prognosis of the situations, prediction. Well, like this. So for me, it's okay, but as we will try to give to artificial intelligence give ability to predict the future, I'm not sure it will be it's really a good case. I mean, in a general sense, probably. I'm not sure. But well, unfortunately, we haven't now our speaker from yesterday. I mean, Juraj Bilić, because actually yesterday he talked about threats of AI, but in education and yes, I like that all of our panelists today, you touched education. Well, I like this triangle: education, business, and science, because it is quite connected things and influencing to each other, these angles. But he also touched in that speech education, and yesterday he said that he asked this question: does AI dream of electric ships? Well, the title that speaks for themselves, isn't it? So we're specialists, yes, in this field. Well, at least you probably. So you want to push these intelligent artificial intelligence methods to science and industry and education in various spheres, but from other sides, practical people and even key, let's say, those who are in governments, they sometimes they're afraid of it and trying to so there's a question arises as to whatever it's worth doing. Alone implementation, we have a lot of problems related to artificial intelligence and ethic, security. So please, now I would like to ask you now to talk about these things, about security and ethics of artificial intelligence. Is it good just to push these intelligent methods and without any back reaction of our governments and so on? About you may talk about students also, because we already have a difficulties here to assess how to assess their work, because they just bringing together bricks of deep learning methods, and so it's quite complicated to assess, to know, do they understand what they're doing or not. So please, Professor, so your turn now. You can argue with me or with other speakers currently.
Alexei, you spoken about many topics, so
Exactly.
I would like maybe a bit to be concentrated on the education.
You may,
because we teach, and I hope many of us teach students, and we see that now everywhere, in every university, in every department, people are interested in this deep learning technology. The students are interested to do their research work, applications, just applying deep learning. Various, I understand that they use various networks of various architecture, various complexity, but many of them know quite good how to apply these methods, and they are very much interested. But from the other point of view, they do not interested so much to study or to deeply learn these methods or algorithms developed earlier for many other topics. For example, during our conference, I was a bit surprised when listening to our plenary speaker, Ruslan Salakhudinov, about his laboratory, where they doing various kind of application, including those from computer vision, those from speech recognition and speech analysis, text analysis, and even those related to drug discovery. I've by the way seen also that Frederic also is working with a broad area, including also these topics of, but I suppose visualization from molecular biology, related to molecular biology visualization. But I was surprised that these domains, which earlier were like special domains for computer vision, signal processing, text analysis, and other, they were like maybe close to each other, but they were developed, investigated by people from different communities, and a lot of various methods, algorithms were developed for these topics. And now, like people trying to use very powerful machinery to deal with problems from various domains. And yes, it's true that these methods are very much similar. It's necessary just to prepare appropriate input to this technology. But from my point of view, that everything which was also done previously, deep results and interesting algorithms are also should be studied by students, and maybe it will be the basis for further research and development.
Okay.
Not only deep learning.
Okay. Well, colleagues, I agree with this. But if this student will do not want to be a scientist, why he should invent? Why should invent again a bicycle wheel? Just finish his study and so coding, he understand how to code. So, and that's all. Of course, if we're talking about future scientists, so yes. But nobody currently programming using DOS commands and so on in the machines, yes, the operating. Why should we turn back to the past? Yeah, this is my question now.
Okay, that's a good point about education. So I think all things need to be balanced in some way. If we're using deep learning, that models which somebody already developed, and students just simply without deep understanding of the area, they simply run it and they making a lot of mistake. And this is very important in the field of medical diagnosis, medical image analysis, etc. So they are coming from computer vision. They know something about computer vision, and they immediately doing the same here. And they always, in my experience, they always try to use a convolutional neural network in the places where it's classical algorithm, which developed long time ago, working pretty good. So why should we always try to do everything by this manner? So it's overemphasized in some way. So we should remember about that. The second point that in my domain, in medical image analysis, medical application, it's very important that we need to give education in this specific application level, because it is important. Otherwise, we repeat the situation when they come in to the medical area and they doing just computer vision as they done before. So that's the point. I think that's important for education.
Yeah, colleagues, so I'd like to interrupt you. Well, previously in the past, people use horses, but now cars.
Yes.
So should we now just use horses again? So because it was in the past.
About horses,
yeah.
Yes, good. So why we are still using Pythagoras theorem, which is proven and invented thousands and thousands years ago? Why we still using that? Because it's something fundamental. We may not replace all the life, all the science, all engineering, etc. with neural networks. That's impossible. Okay, and you touch also very important question, which is interesting for me. So I'm somehow related a little bit to cognitive research in the brain, and that sometimes sounds funny, like young guys taking floor and says, okay, our software is working exactly like human brain. And people who is educated in this field just laugh, because we still don't know how human brain is working. And that's what another important point, which I raise from time to time, is that we try to mimic the human brain, and we try to just repeat it. So the good example is that people always dream to fly. They watch birds and they jealously want to repeat it. They want to fly. They copy that wings and flapping by wings, etc., and never succeed. And then engineers, good guys, came and invent airplanes. And we are flying much better than birds, but we're doing this in totally different way. Another example, so 95% perhaps of our movement is using wheels, like car, like train, like everything else. But no creature in nature which using wheels for moving. So our solution, that means our solution in both occasions is different. So I do believe that we don't need to try to copy human brain. We will go another way around, and we will succeed at the end. So I hope so. And we start actually with security issues. So we, in our group, we are also doing something on that. And in particular, we're studying the problem of adversarial attacks when, with the small modification of original image, we force neural network to make a wrong decision. So the bad guys, which are here, I mean, in the society, or bad guys in future, which came from universe somewhere, you know, that all science fiction movie, when they come in and they want to do something bad, simply kill all of us. So that's all possible, unfortunately. So in medical domain, that's critical. Well, it's critical everywhere, in transportation and everything. So the problem of adversarial attack, which really exists and really doing bad things, need to be studied, and defense against that should be also, many people don't really realize that so far, as far as I know. Thank you.
Okay, so colleagues.
Yes, Frederic, I'd like to just pick up on the education side again. So actually, I think there's a lot of potential in applying AI as a concept to the field of education in the following sense. We've already mentioned that we're drowning under data. We have sensors everywhere, and we collect data of all kinds. Medical field is a good example of that. But pretty much any field you look around, we're drowning on the data. But it is true also about education. And we just, I think, mentioned an example in the scientific domain. Let's take computer vision or image processing. The history already is quite long. We can trace it back at least 70 years. And it's very difficult to teach everything that has come under the sun, and how some fundamentals, let's say mathematical morphology, might be relevant in the context of comparing it to some deep learning current deep learning approaches, some of which actually link with mathematical morphology. But these are just examples. But I think there is a potential agenda here for AI, how to use AI as a concept to bring together all this knowledge has been accumulated in so many fields, which today it's very hard even for a specialist to fully be aware of everything that has come under the sun in their own field. So I think we could think of AI here as a conceptual approach to solve that very problem, and open up the potential of education, in fact. The other comment I'd like to make more generally, I think, again, this is a point that has come out before. AI really can be, again, conceptually an approach which sits to collaborate or help humans in whatever task we're thinking of. So there's a lot of worries, for example, about AI replacing, or AI application replacing people, and people losing their jobs. If we look at the history of technology, usually what happens is technology either open up new areas, new types of jobs, or technology becomes a partner for humans, and it sort of evolves their way of doing the same things in better ways. So here, I think AI, that's a role for AI to play. Is not to simply think, it's going to replace us in all possible tasks. I think it's sort of a fallacy, especially if we look at the history of application of progress in technology.
Okay, thank you, Frederic. Well, just a question. So we're saying AI, so everything is artificial intelligence and so on. But is it probably in the future, we will not call it anymore AI. So we will just be with this and this all. So why it's just called artificial intelligence? So probably it will be like a part of our life and nothing more. It will not be so artificial anymore in the future. It will be a part of processes.
Yeah, I'll answer that very quickly because I'm sure other panelists would like to say words on that. But yeah, there is a problem there. AI, unfortunately, artificial intelligence is a very sexy word or concept, and it's because it's there is of course the artificial basically captures all progress, innovation, technologically oriented. That's already very sexy. And then you have intelligence. Everybody is fascinated about what we mean and what intelligence is. And we bring these two things together. And that's a very difficult thing for us, I think, working in these areas that intersect with so-called artificial intelligence. What is that about and what should it be about? My personal opinion, and I conveyed that in my keynote, is that I think we should look at the history. What were the luminaries who came up with this idea of AI, with the word itself? What was their objective? I think they had a very sense of what it should be about, which was very closely related to human intelligence, trying to understand human intelligence with technological means. And from my point of view, we could go back to that definition and try to stick to it. And anything that is outside of it should be called something else. That could be one way to solve that problem. But there is definitely an issue here, is that more and more in the media in particular, any sort of technology using computers is come under the umbrella of AI, and that's a problem.
Exactly. Well, language is also changing, so probably in the future we'll not call anymore this AI. I would like to give a floor to other speakers. So please, would you like to add yes and answer the same questions what I asked to others?
If you let me know, I will continue the story of the bad guy of Professor Kovalev. So there are two opinions about the future. First of all, that the AI will manage us at the end. This is one opinion. And the second story is the not bad guy, the stupid guy. It doesn't matter how much you will learn. If the guy is stupid, then it will not become smarter. And also concerning to the applying the AI solutions, Alexei, about your opinion. So there are two approaches, either to apply a priori or in a professional way. If you apply your solution in a priori way, then you cannot implement this, let's say, in serious applications or in serious products. So, and that's why here the education, in my point of view, is critical, because they have to learn mathematical basis if they want to learn to apply the AI solutions in a professional way.
Okay, Thomas.
Yes, so there were a lot of topics addressed, but let me go back to the question: what is artificial intelligence, or the name artificial? Yeah? And I completely agree that a lot of algorithms in computer science are called artificial intelligence, although they actually are not that much intelligent. Yeah? So there was a question of education. So my students, they also love to apply some deep learning. Yeah, so there are nice toolboxes, and they tune a little bit on the parameters, and they observe 80% as usual. 10 years ago, it was the SVM also delivering 80%. Yeah, but there is no understanding, and even though you are training a deep neural network, it's still a pre-trained network, and you can have transfer learning, whatever. Yeah, but I think intelligence starts when you have really learning systems. That means any decision such a network is doing changes the network, not only in the training time, but then in continuous use. I think this is what we consider as intelligent. So learning systems, and of course, in order to develop such learning systems, you need to have a feedback loop from decisions such a neural network or thing has been done. So my understanding of artificial intelligence is more really to go towards learning systems.
Well, if you give it to computers, well, I'm just talking not like a scientist, I'm just wondering, human. If we give a computer to be learned about us, so but you know that sometimes computers are malfunctioning. So is it okay? So for people, for patients, for example, if we're talking about medical science, that these malfunctioning computers know everything about patients, but probably they will give a completely different diagnosis or assistance, or give well, completely not well, it go badly like this. So is it still okay to just to rely on computers in the sense of artificial intelligence here? It's also it is also a question about adversarial attacks also, but now I'm just asking you because last time when we met, so you didn't deal with artificial intelligence. Now you inventing things about well, automatic assistance to patients, yes, the medical cars and so on. So do you believe that patients will rely on, and physicians will rely on these artificial intelligence methods currently and in the future?
So if I may give an answer, I think this is a matter of time. If you have a technological mean which is very successful for a long enough time, then it will become accepted in the public. So just to give a trivial example, we start seeing trains, for example, or subways, which are automatically driven. And initially, when this happens, there's a lot of worries in the public. And in fact, for example, there's a good example in London, where you have a particular part of the railway system, so-called DLR, which was conceived to be fully automatic. But in the early days, and for a long time, for a couple of years, even today sometimes, you have a human which is put at the front of the tram purely for reconforting the public in the tram. It's not needed. And still today, even now, after many years, a large part of the public is not familiar enough and has not accepted fully that this technology is very safe. I think what you're describing in the medical field, I think we're far from there, as I understand it. And I would imagine that before we reach that point, a long time will pass, even if the technology is already very successful or more successful on average than the best expert. I think for the near future, in such applications, we will require that the tools the AI tools are there under the guidance of human experts. And even if proven to be extremely efficient, without perhaps the guidance of the human expert, in terms of becoming accepted by the public, this is going to be a different challenge.
Okay, thank you. So, colleagues, do you have comments? Okay, yeah, you may add something. Of course.
Sorry, I like very much addition which Hrachya did. That's really important. So 1 year I was schoolboy. I asked myself, what is the most bad here in this world? So it was unpredictable. And then I was looking to classical literature, to big guys, etc., etc. And all of them almost say that stupidness, fullness. That's something the most dangerous. Like, for instance, the famous German Friedrich Schiller said, "Mit dem Dummheit kämpfen, die Götten selbst vergebens." So that means even God's not able to fight against the stupid people. So that's the most dangerous things. I think in artificial intelligence, that's also taking place. And what about my opinion about why we are using this AI term, artificial intelligence? That's partly, I think, partly this is because it's a nice word, and then we want to attract funding. Because one day in the central London, we were sitting with Alexander and Professor Maria Petrov from university, from Imperial College. And she told us the story. It was informal, at home meeting with the tea, etc. And she told us the story about, perhaps some of you remember, the computers of 5th generation, which came from Japan, and everyone get excited. So she told us all the people who involved, they come to London, they were discussing this issue, addressing to big guys, big politicians. Finally, they get funded. So nobody really invented the computer of 5th generation, but it was great support for scientists to do the progress, which is really was done. So I think that's also important point. That life is life. Money rules the world still. So we need to remember that.
Any comments, colleague? Life is life.
Yeah, I think it's human life. So this is sociology, basically. We're all humans in science as well, and we behave as such. And indeed, AI is attracting lots and lots of funding. And within AI, deep learning, machine learning is the key. So a lot of funding now is devoted to these areas, and people have jumped on the bandwagon because they saw, okay, I'm going to get more easily funding this way, and it has worked to some extent. But now we've sort of gone overboard, and I would say way too much focus is put on a very narrow part of what we should be concerned about, and that's a problem now. So what was seen as an advantage from a researcher point of view has become a problem for the community.
Yeah, thank you. Well, yeah, funding, it's also, there are funding from private funding, yes, and government funding. Well, in an informal talk, and from at the end of the last day, we talked with Andrei Gabrielian and his experience in inventing human genome. Yeah, he said that when they asked government to fund them, they said, well, it will cost too much, and you will work for hundreds of years. So private foundation then came, and so they did it for just in a short period of time. But well, just only one of us currently in European Union, yes, because in UK now it's, we say Brexit, yeah. But still, so it is a trend, funding, and the trend that if funding governmental. And the trend is that Euro Commission now they are adopting a document which will ban complete ban artificial intelligence in several fields. It means probably funding also will not be able for in these fields. How do you think? Is it good this trend? Is it okay? Is it good? Should we agree with this complete ban in several fields? This is my last question to all of you.
Yeah, maybe I can answer as you addressed the European Union and only one participant from the European Union as I am. So I wasn't aware of such a policy yet. I'm not sure whether or which fields are addressed. Yeah, but what I think is a big mistake that is always done particularly by the government, they try to define rules which are, well, they cannot cover the diversity we have on Earth. So I would never say in this field artificial intelligence is not allowed, because it's nonsense. You need to understand what the particular proposal is addressing and whether it's meaningful or not to try artificial intelligence. I think the pandemic we had the last years, this is a very nice example of how stupid these rules are. So I was, in the beginning, I was following all these rules, and I understood that I need to keep distance and I wear masks and so on. But then the pressure to the politics becomes larger. And they said, okay, incidence 50 is not the number anymore. It's 30 or it's 100. Actually, I was expecting 42, but that number comes up. And then in February in Germany, they opened the plant stores, where you can buy plants for your farmery and so on. And how to say that in English words, but the situation was that you are allowed to go to these outside areas where all the plants are. And of course, you are allowed to go to the inside areas where you can find water pipes for the garden and all these plastics you need in order to interconnect that. So these walkways were safe with respect to the coronavirus. But the next walkway where you find, I don't know the English word, but those things after you drill a hole in the wall, and then you put the plastic inside in order to fix a screw, that plastic device, in Germany we call Dübel. That was one row later. I was not allowed to go through this row. It was blocked. So I learned, okay, the plastic that is used by water system outside is safe with respect to the coronavirus, but the plastic you use in order to put in the wall is unsafe, which of course is complete nonsense. So in summary, I don't think that general rules are meaningful at all.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. This was an opinion from European Union. What is about outside? And just last comments.
I think inventing different kind of bans and prohibit things, that's not a good way. So you need to give to people choice, and then everything would be okay. Otherwise, that's not good. So I mentioned somehow already about a lot of limitations for medical images. Okay, I can easily imagine you can identify a person with a scan, MRI scan of head. Of course, it's like a real human, but you will never identify by histopathology slide, histopathology image by cell on cellular level. It's simply impossible. It's impossible, but I'm sure that political guys and top guys will say, oh, this is prohibited. Don't ask so.
Yeah, so maybe quickly, I would say, I think in general, in science, scientific fields, or academic fields, humanities, art, all the fields, we should see that we play more and more indirectly a role in society and how society evolves rapidly. And therefore, we should be ready to interfere, and we should be more welcoming to the idea to go and talk and discuss with government, for example. I think in university education, it's rarely promoted that as a scientist, let's say, in any field, you should have a role of sort of discussing what you're doing and explaining it beyond the students and your scientific arena. it's rarely promoted, and I think we need to change that. And it's not what tends to happen nowadays is to think, okay, let's educate the public about what kind of research we do and why, etc. But it has to go even beyond that. I think we need to be constantly aware that we should make an effort to be in touch with governments themselves. So how we do that, I don't know, but it should become sort of a natural aspect of the role of academics, especially at the university level.
Oh, okay. I think that the important technology will develop. Nevertheless, prohibitions now or later they will be developed, and the people, the government should use it in a very clever way. It's a very important thing. Okay.
Thank you, Hrachya. Last comments.
No, I'm fully agree with the previous speakers. So.
Okay, so now we need to finish our panel discussion because we're quite out of schedule, but still, so I was happy to meet with you, and it was nice talk. And so yes, as final words, today we try to think about AI and the future for AI. And well, what I would like to suggest to people that please do not rely on this on 100%, as now it's going on with, for example, Tesla cars. Yes, that still is not so developed to rely on it on 100%. From other side, all of you are scientists, and progress is not stand still, and you are part of this progress. So let's develop in the safe way, I should say, and be funded. This is the most important. Thank you, all of you. So now I'm finished this session. Okay, thank you and bye-bye. And my apologize to Juraj Bilić, because actually, so we had to start it at the schedule. Unfortunately, probably you missed.
Okay, I was sure it was Central European time, so my apologies.
Of course, yeah. Unfortunately, I hope we will be able to speak later, probably in other sessions. Anyway, so I'm happy to be with all of you, and I'm happy that you are with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Artificial intelligence. We objectively assess the importance of this topic. However, there is still no consensus on whether all tasks can be solved using these technologies. Abuse or obligatory use, we will raise such issues of ethics, modern information society, and cybernetics. This is the story of our virtual conference on pattern recognition and information processing in 2021, which has already begun. Here, right now.